Good afternoon, friends. It is day 140 of Russia's invasion into Ukraine, and you're still here. I'm a little late getting on today, so I appreciate your patience. But just a few things that are going on today, but some very, very important prayer points. The next 2 or 3 days are going to be absolutely crucial. I've said that about 3, maybe 4 times. And every single time it has proved to be the case. They have been massive turning points in this war. And so I'm going to say it again. The next 2 to 3 days are going to be absolutely key. And so thank you. All of you all who continue to pray and to care for Ukraine, but also to help raise up prayer for Ukraine. It is making a difference, and this is the time. So there's some good things that are happening today. We've just got reports this morning that the Ukrainian military was able to repel Russian attacks at around Izium, at Davinki and Dalina. In Kherson, there was another massive explosion near Chornobaivka, and also over by the airport. These, again, every single time one of these munitions dumps blows up, lives are saved. Massive amounts. Guys, continue to pray for these bloodless resolutions. Also in Lugansk this morning, there was an explosion. Actually, it's in the night. There were explosions and further detonations near Lugansk city. And the Ukrainian government announced that they still do not have, the Russians still do not have complete control over Lugansk. There's still a couple settlements that the Ukrainians continue to hold. And it's a very key propaganda victory, denying the Russians this. Also in Donetsk, to the southwest of Donetsk city in Alexandrivka, there were huge explosions again and again. Praise God for the faithful people within the occupied territories who continue to provide real intel in real time to the Ukrainian forces to be able to take out these, so that Russians don't need to die either, right? The Russians can't go fire at anybody if they have nothing to fire with. So praise God for that. Again and again, though, we've talked about this, that when we know the truth, when the truth is known, then, God is on the move, right? The enemy is the father of lies, and our Father is the Father of light. And so some of the truth that we're seeing is the Russian Navy is still continuing to keep 7 missile carriers with caliber operational tactical missiles ready. They're continuing to use those to threaten. They're continuing to be poised, hoping for some opportunity to engage and to make an amphibious assault on Odessa. Praise God, they keep burning through fuel, keep burning through. They have incredible, very well-trained troops that are not being used because they're waiting for the opportunity to invade Odessa, and it hasn't happened. Again and again, they've had the opportunity. It's been taken from them because of prayer. Let's keep praying for that. All right, in grain, one of the big things around the world, millions are fixing to suffer. Upwards of 150 million people possibly can enter into famine if the grain that is held in Ukraine is not released. 25 million tons. Managed to get out about 5 million tons, so that still means 20 million. But we're not even talking about the next grain harvest that they're attempting to bring in right now. They are in, Foreign Minister Kuleba of Ukraine said they were in the final stages of talks, but those talks just really started face-to-face today in Istanbul with the UN, Turkey, and Russia and Ukraine. So pray that there is no coordinated effort to force agreements. Again, Ukraine has said over and over again they will not cede territory. Let me frame this. If you're getting any pressure from people or you're believing this perspective, it would be like this. Imagine there's a woman and she has 4 children, and one child gets taken, and then they're like, hey, it's okay. Hey, we're going to stop. Just don't fight back. We're just going to stop. We'll keep the one child. And then they attack and they take another child, and they're like, listen, we'll just stop now. No big deal. Guys, Ukraine can't let Russia have the territories it has occupied. it is again as if they were children stolen from mother. This isn't about territorial integrity. It is about the fact that the Russian forces are doing horrific atrocities in those areas and wherever they have control. And so this cannot continue, and that has to stay at the forefront of people's minds rather than let's get peace at any cost, like Chamberlain and the Sudetenland in 38. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. All right. Poland, President Zelensky met with the defense minister of Poland. I'm really praying that's to discuss, again, owning up to the atrocities that happened during World War II with the Banderovtsov, the anti-Soviet Ukrainian nationals who murdered many Polish people for the Nazis. Pray that there's the ability just to own the truth, because again, truth, without a foundation on truth, Ukraine cannot be built. And so pray for that. In other news, one of the things that Russia keeps looking to others to save them. Right now, they're looking to Iran. Iran is supposed to provide several thousand unmanned drones on an expedited basis because Russia's run out. But they keep looking to China, and China can't help them. One of the signs of that is Chinese homebuyers on 35 huge projects across 22 cities are refusing to pay mortgages due to construction stoppages, and that's resulting in the possibility that it might cause $83 billion of default. Well, that's a small tip of the iceberg of the potential $8 trillion default that the Chinese cities are on the verge of. And China can't afford to back Russia. Praise God for that. Gas, the Russians are pressuring the Germans hardcore right now. Even though Canada returned the turbine after bowing to Russian and German pressures in violation of Canadian and German sanctions, they have done so. But that has resulted, now Russia's saying they're going to have to do a 10-day maintenance stoppage. They've never had to do this before on the Nord Stream pipeline, cutting off all of Northern Europe and reducing supplies coming from the south through the Druzhba line to a minimal amount. Again, Russia's attempting to intimidate, attempting to force the West to stop backing Ukraine. So pray for that to hold. A very great thing. The UN did a study of Ukrainian refugees, and they found that almost all of them want to return to Ukraine. This is why early on there was some pressure to create a narrative of why is Europe so welcoming of Ukrainian, refugees when they are rejecting Syrian or African refugees. Well, it's basically this. It's not racism. It's the basic fact that Ukrainian refugees want to go back home. The Syrian refugees and African refugees are intending to stay. And it's a fundamental different cost to a society. They can, and even so, the cost to Poland particularly has been huge. And so they are planning, but about 2/3 of them are expected to stay in their host countries until the security situation improves. But that means 1/3 of them are already planning to go back, and many, hundreds of thousands, already have. One of the things, too, that just the evidence of the effect that the HIMARS attacks have on all of these depots, particularly, though, on that Gvazdia headquarters I mentioned yesterday. Well, the Russians, in just a rage, have bombed Bakhmut, just left, right, and center, just bombed it, seeming just in a rage. Praise God, most of the people have left Bakhmut, so the even with them incessantly, insanely bombing all night long, only one person died and 5 more were injured out of just the insane bombing. So praise God for that. But the horrible thing that happened a few days ago where they fired on a 5-story building in Chasiv Yar, well, the death toll there continues to rise. It's now up to 46 people. Again, don't let any of these deaths be in vain. Let the world recognize the horror of what Russia is doing, even as there has been supernatural preservation of life. So what are we praying for? The big prayer point is for the Western Front, for Kherson, for them to be able to begin to make real movement forward to take Kherson City. That's one. But the other piece is the extra special meeting of the Duma that is scheduled for the 15th, 3 days from now. Already they're proposing to change Putin's title from president to ruler. Sound like a king, right? He's comparing himself to Peter the Great. But also the question is, the real issue is they're going to probably be discussing how can they wage war. And so our prayer is that they do not declare war. They do not, and thereby going to full mobilization and massive loss of life. Pray. Masha, my wife, as we were talking this morning, she really felt that a very key prayer strategy is she saw Russia like a sheet, and it was being pulled in two different directions, the war direction and the peace direction. We've talked about this many times. The war party, Girkin, Kadyrov, Kirienko, pushing hard for war at all costs. And on the other, and not just war, but take all of Ukraine, take Poland, take Germany. And on the peace side, the thieves who desperately want at any cost to keep what they have stolen. They're the vast majority. They're the vast majority of the Russian government are these thieves, these oligarchs, these governors. And so they want, but we're praying for the Daniels to, as the rips in half, two things will happen, that the entire Russian people will realize fully what's going on. The truth will be revealed, but also then a Daniel or a group of Daniels can rise in the midst. People of righteousness, peace, and justice and truth would rise up in the middle. So pray for that, particularly as we head to this meeting on the 15th. It's going to be a really big deal. Also, I forgot to say this. I read a really deep dive article today on the amazing way that one of the most powerful things that Russia had was its mercenary forces, these private military contractors, PMCs, like Wagner Group or Redoubt or Morbant. What's been interesting is due to infighting, due to them jockeying for position, due to issues like between Kirienko and Porgozin, who's the head of Wagner Group, all this infighting. What's happened is those mercenary groups, which are so vile, have been, but they're very good militarily. They have been fundamentally wasted, and a lot of times they've been co-opted by the military and just used senselessly. And so praise God for that. We didn't even know what we were being saved for when we were praying against those mercenary groups. We didn't realize how bad it was. And even so, God was on the move and blocking them. And so many of them died in Popasna and Severodonetsk. And it's so, praise God. God is on the move even when we don't see it. So let's be encouraged and really double down to pray for this meeting on the 15th and for the movement, the attacks that they've been doing on Izium and on that logistics line coming down from Kupiansk to Izium, but also particularly in Kherson. Woo! But also, guys, please be praying for the church. The church has not been holding back. The church is arising in many ways because of our friends Vladimir and Lilia. They're putting forth a clarion cry, and the people of the churches are beginning to rise up and be courageous and run to serve the least of these. And so many of you have been a part of helping make that happen and providing them with the means. And we're so grateful to you all. I'm waiting. Tomorrow I'm going to get another report from our bookkeeper and be able to try to send some more monies over. It looks like we got several $1,000s to go over. If you'd like to be a part of that, please consider giving ariselife.org/help Ukraine. There's a green button. It will take you to our secure site, ariselife.churchcenter.com. amidst.com. And there, if you're from another country, instead of putting in a phone number, there's an option down below to do email. If you're outside the U.S. And all those funds go directly to them. As soon as we get them, we try to get them over. We cover all the transaction fees so that 100% of what you give goes directly to them. And thank you guys. Please be continuing to pray for them, as so many. They were sending us videos today this morning. Just heartwarming what God's doing in the midst of turning these victims of oppression, victims of war, refugees, and turning them into ministers of the gospel. It's beautiful. But we love you guys. We bless you to know his goodness and love, that you matter where you are, and he sees your difficulties, and he is for you as well. We love you. Again, every time you share, every time you comment, it's making a difference. Thank you. Have a great day.